Hey everyone, this is Pete. Welcome back to Atari A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of Atari 8-bit games, some which I grew up with, and some which are new to me. This is Mike Edwards' Realm of Impossibility, released by Electronic Arts, yes, that one, in 1984. This is an interesting game. It's actually a enhanced, updated remake of a game that was released in 1983 called Zombies. And the reason it's called Realm of Impossibility is the last level of the original game was based on a lot of optical illusions, the sort of impossible triangle, impossible cube type things, as popularised by MC Escher. And this is kind of developed throughout the course of this game, as you'll see. So, let's play. So we'll go from the beginning. You have 13 dungeons to get through, and the aim is to get through to Wistrick the Evil and defeat him. So we'll start with Kankaya Keep. Here we are. There's a little man. That's us. So, this is an isometric game. So, you can run around. You push up or down, you move on this sort of diagonal plane like this as well, which takes a little bit of getting used to, but you'll get the idea of it. And the aim is to explore each of these dungeons, get all the way in, and then get back out again. Now, if I can just get down this ladder. There we go. And along the way, there are various things trying to stop you, such as zombies. This game used to be called Zombies, remember. However, they're not very smart, so you can kind of manipulate their behaviour to get around them. There are also various things you can pick up along the way that will do things like recover your hit points. There's spells to acquire. And there's also crosses you can pick up and drop as well. If you have a cross, you can drop it, and that will act as an obstacle for a monster. They're not very big, though, so you can drop up to 12 of these at the same time. So there's the key. That's the aim for this dungeon. Now we just have to get back out again without dying. And you'll see with each new room we reach, item we collect, and so on, our rating increases. So that's your score, basically. Now this isn't a role-playing game or anything, despite having hit points. There's no sort of upper maximums of those hit points, so you can just keep getting more hit points, which is nice. So if you do quite well in the early dungeons, you can give yourself a nice head start on the other ones. Alright, so that's the first one done. On to the Abyss. So one thing you'll also notice is that there's no actual combat in this. There's no means of attacking the enemies at all. So all you can do is either avoid them or drop the crosses in their path. There are some spells you can use, but none of those are directly offensive in nature. So you've got, I believe, a freeze spell. C is confuse, I think. And I can't remember what the others are. There's a third one of some type. I can't remember what it does. I'm sure it will show up at some point. Ow, 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 ow. It's P, whatever it is. Let's press P and see what happens. Nothing happens when we press P. Okay, never mind. Oh, protect. There we go. So that will presumably reduce the rate at which you're losing hit points when you come into contact with enemies. So if you've got a very busy room that's full of enemies, it's a good idea to cast the protect spell if you think you're not going to be able to avoid taking damage. And then F. There we go. That's the freeze spell. There's our key. Ow, ow, zombies, zombies everywhere. Zombies can't climb ladders because they're dumb. They can, however, wait at the bottom of the ladder for you. So let's try and confuse them. There we go. Oh, they can climb ladders. They're just too stupid to get up that narrow a gap. So, in most cases. Right, so casting the spells is not pressing the letter key as I thought it was. It's holding down the fire button and pushing in the direction. So fire and right does the protect spell. Fire and left does the confuse spell. So that presumably means that fire and up does the freeze spell. There we go. And each of those only lasts for a few seconds. So you need to try and make as effective use of those as you possibly can. If we can go down these. No, they're just annoying and in the way. So, I remember this game having really cool cover art, actually. It had sort of an MC Escher type Impossible Cube or Impossible Triangle or something on the front cover. But it was all like rendered in stone and there was someone trying to climb all over it. And it was really cool. It was really visually striking. But this is not a game that I ever played back in the day for one reason or another. I didn't even know very much about it apart from its existence until quite recently. So it's been a real pleasure to discover, because this is one game that actually still plays quite well today. I mean, obviously the sort of core idea of avoiding enemies is pretty simplistic and dated in some ways. But you've got a bit of interesting strategy in there with the use of these spells and making creative use of the environment in particular. The fact we've got a 3D environment here presented in isometric perspective, that makes navigating your way around and manipulating the enemy's behavior really interesting. Ow, 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 protect. Oh, protect actually makes you completely invincible for a few seconds. Yeah, so that's extremely useful. Freeze! Freeze! Freeze. There we go. And you've got 26 hit points left. This is not going too well. Yeah, and you see the sort of 3D nature of the levels allows the actual map design to be quite interesting as well. So we've taken a very roundabout route here to get where we're going. In fact, so we've just gone around in the big circle, haven't we? But I guess that thing we picked up at the end was the thing we needed, because it looks slightly different from the usual scrolls. And then we should just be able to cross back over here. Let's protect. We're gonna do it. Are we gonna make it? I'm not sure. Let's confuse them. I like the little jingles for the spells. Those are quite fun. Oh, 3 hit points. You get a bunch of hit points back when you finish a level as well. So, okay, yeah. So the thing we needed to find in that one was whatever that is. Some sort of crown, I guess. All right, let's go to Tartarus. Of Persona fame. But probably not. So, 3D games like this are quite unusual at the time. Obviously, there's a few famous examples, say with Qbert, the arcade game probably being the most famous. But it was still pretty unusual to find a game this early in the 80s making use of an isometric perspective quite like this. Later on, we had titles like Chimera and all the Ultimate Play the Game stuff, most of which didn't come out on the Atari A actually, which was a bit of a shame. So we didn't get stuff like Night Law, Alienate, and that kind of thing. I think we might have got Head Over Heels, but I can't remember if that was a an Ultimate one or not. That was still certainly quite a well-regarded one, I remember that much. Now this dungeon isn't be too difficult. Confuse! Ow, ow. Constant footsteps noise is oddly soothing, actually. I think it's because I grew up with the Atari sound chip. I sort of recognise a lot of the common waveforms that are used for creating various sound effects. And because I have such nostalgia for those sounds, I find it quite comforting to hear that kind of thing. And that footsteps noise there is a pretty good example of a common Atari 8-bit sound. Very nice. I'm doing pretty well. Alright, let's go to the Agazi Shell. We haven't seen much Impossible architecture so far, after I attempted to sell it to you at the beginning, so hopefully we'll see some before I run out of hit points. This one's actually quite an easy one. Nice big open spaces to avoid things. So I find it quite interesting that this is an EA game, but and in fact this was a game that came out not all that long after EA was established. Actually, EA was established in I think 1983, and this was one of their sort of third batch of games that came out. And yeah, EA in the 80s was really cool because, as the name suggests, they were very much focused on the idea of people making use of computers to create art. In the sense of things that were either aesthetically pleasing or that had interesting mechanics or any combination of those, really. So this game here, I mean, has got a nice combination of all of those things. Because we've got the interesting perspective, we've got the twist on your usual dungeon crawler gameplay. Oh no, zombies. And you've got some interesting mechanics with those spells, so lots to do. Where are we supposed to go? Can't go that way. Or is that it? Is that the whole dungeon? No. Somewhere else we need to go. Left? Left. Freeze! Freeze! No, that's dropping crosses. Freeze! Freeze! I feel I lost more hit points than I would have done if I'd just walked through there. But never mind. Freeze! But yeah, there's a nice mix of environments in this even. So this one, sort of the concept is clearly sort of, oh, we're gonna die, we're gonna die, we're gonna die, we're gonna die. And we're dead. Yeah, so nice mix of interesting environments to explore, interesting presentation, creative mechanics, and a two-play mode as well. I haven't tried it two-play before, but apparently you can play this simultaneously with two people at once, which is pretty cool. So that is Mike Edwards' Realm of Impossibility, published by Electronic Arts in 1984. So, do check that out if you have access to an Atari 8-bit or some means of emulating it. It's well worth your time. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. New episodes of Atari A to Z are on Tuesdays and Atari ST A to Z on Thursdays. Check out atariatoz.wordpress.com for a full archive. Do please also check out my other projects moegamer.net, where I explore Japanese and Japanese-inspired games from yesterday and today, and videopackgames.wordpress.com, which aims to catalogue a small but well-formed library of the Philips G7000 Videopack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. You can also support my work on Patreon or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.